Start recording.
Yes, sure. So thanks, Corrado. Welcome, everyone. So my name is Carlo, and I work as an Agile coach. I do it in London. I've been here since 2015. And the session today is about the future of Agile coaching, or what this future could look like. So as Corrado said, it's going to be quite an interactive session. Yeah, so I will welcome both answering questions at any time, and also we're gonna do some activities together. So I'm gonna both share my screen in a moment, also because as Corrado said, the session is gonna be recorded, so it's gonna be valuable for whoever's gonna watch it later on. And also I'm gonna share a link. So we're gonna use Jamboard, which is a whiteboard by Google. So you should be able to use it as long as you just have a Gmail account, or maybe you don't even need that to contribute. So I will post the link to the Jamboard here, and hopefully we don't break it. It's supposed to manage up to 50 people, and so I guess we can start as I said. So I do welcome also questions at any time. So I would really like to try to keep it as emergent, as collaborative as possible. And on the other side, we're going to have some activities. So hopefully you'll manage to do the activities on the shared whiteboard. You know, if for any reason you've got some technical issues or anything, you can also just do some of that on some paper for yourself. I think it's going to work anyway for you in terms of, you know, helping your thinking. And also maybe, you know, you're just tired of watching the screen all the time because it's been a long day. So that's going to work as well. As I said, so it's going to be an informal exploration of what Agile coaching is going to look like, or could look like in 5 years from now. The reason you may want to be around tonight, you may have some general curiosity about what the future looks like, and that's fair. I guess for me, the reason I designed this session, and I actually started to have some conversations with people just on a one-to-one basis, and then I said, okay, let's open it up to a bigger group, is I'm really keen to be, I guess, relatively deliberate in what I'm doing and where I'm investing my time, also in terms of things I want to learn more, things I want to upskill more about. And also, you know, kind of making a call about, you know, do I want to be like an Agile coach in 5 years, you know, or should I think about being something else? So that's kind of the focus for today. So I hope you get some insights, and you just get, you know, some thinking about this. And we may also have some inspiration, if you want, lightweight inspiration about things we could do more as a community, but that's not really the focus. There's quite a few conversations going on in that space as well, and in the internet, and that's great stuff, but yeah, that's kind of not the main focus for today. So first thing that I'd like us to try and do is also, let's try and see how well the Jamboard supports all of us. So yeah, I'm just assuming, you know, we're all in some way Agile coaches, Agile consultants, Agile teachers, Scrum Masters, Agile delivery managers. You know, if you're not, that's absolutely fine, but let's assume most of us are. So what I'd like us to try and do now is, okay, a little bit more of what's our position. So where are we playing this role from? You know, you may be playing it at the very moment in time, or maybe if not working now, you know, what's like your usual, you know, way of being an Agile coach or a Scrum Master or a change agent, whatever the title. So, and what I've drawn here is, you've got on one side, you got people that work from within companies, so typically permanent employees for product companies or service companies. And then on this side, you've got people that play the role from the outside. You know, you can be like a freelance, you can be working maybe in a boutique consultancy, you may work in a big company that does, you know, transformations, consultancy and everything. And if you're working within a company, you may be working like in the tech department, or you may be working, for example, you may be sitting in HR or marketing. So with this, you know, most of us are within the tech and product space, but things are also evolving. And when it comes to where do you kind of sit in the company, or which level do you operate, what kind of represents more your position, right? So, and what I'd like to try and do is seeing people moving dots. So in my case, so I've done quite a lot of freelance work years ago, but then last 5 years I've mainly been an employee, and I'm probably around here where I sit. So yeah, so feel free to try and drag a dot as well. That's going to represent kind of your, you know, current or usual starting point. And needless to say, there's no right or wrong, but there's a little bit of appreciation of these different flavors. And so quite a few of the things we're gonna do are also related to things are nowadays, which then can inspire some, you know, thinking about how we may see things in 5 years from now. Right. So just to briefly comment on this picture, quite a few of us are working within companies, quite a few are working outside companies, like, you know, external contributors or contractors, whatever. And the people that are from within companies, they seem to be sitting, at least for the people that are online this evening, we're all within like tech, within IT, tech and product, which is not, doesn't fully surprise me. But I'm not sure Corrado hinted about this, but we were in a similar session six weeks ago with the Italian community. And in that case, we happened to have online quite a few people that were actually working from within HR departments, which again, it's maybe a micro trend. It's not definitely a big thing, but we are seeing a few of that. And yeah, who knows how things are going to be 5 years from now. So I'll move to the next bit now. So it's kind of a few layers and a few probably, you know, a little bit rough data points, nothing very polished, but it's kind of sparkle some thinking, offer some aha moments eventually. So next things I'd like us to look at is, you know, how do we add value? Kind of what are the things we do? What are the services we offer? So focusing less on, you know, what's the name of the job title, and more, okay, you know, why are we around? What are the things we do? So probably a few of you recognize in the picture in the middle, that's the kind of Agile Coaching framework by Liz Adkins, Michael Spide of the Agile Coaching Institute. If you don't know it, that's absolutely fine. I'll just go through this quickly. So what this picture tries to represent is the skill set of an Agile coach. And what it says is that we've got in the middle our knowledge as Agile and Lean practitioners, so people that have experienced that and know how Agile and Lean work, which then can be broken down in 3 parts. So which there is a bit which is around technical mastery. So really think about, for example, engineering practices and what it means to write and ship good quality software. A part which is around business mastery, so think like product ownership and also design, innovation, product development, and then a bit, which of course emerged strongly in the last few years, about transformation and change management, and also more like organizational design and organizational transformation. So this is kind of the things that we master, right? So the things that we at different levels, each of us, and typically each of us is stronger in one of these areas, but this is the stuff that we know and we master. And then how do we go about using that knowledge, that experience that we have? Well, basically, to stick to this model, sometimes we teach it, think class teaching, or think more on the job teaching, and sometimes we mentor people, so more like an individual basis, showing the way and showing to people what good looks like. But we also do something else where much more than leaning on our knowledge and actually kind of forgetting about our domain knowledge, we hold the process. And so this comes in the shape of professional coaching, which you may be familiar as, of course, as an industry itself, but it is part of the skill set of an Agile coach. It is actually a strong skill in terms of quite a few of the Agile coaches that are out there in the industry nowadays, and is really about having powerful conversation where you're helping people raise their awareness, get clarity, decide what actions they want to take based on whatever is their agenda, and facilitation, usually like team group facilitation, when again it's all about the process, it's nothing about the content. So I think so this is for me, it's a strong starting point when it comes to think about the things that we do, as part of our job as Agile coaches, as Scrum Masters, Agile delivery managers, change agents, whatever is the job title. And I also kind of broken down just to make it explicit. Sometimes we teach technical stuff. We can teach to someone like how to write a clean code, how to improve the way they version their software, how to continuous delivery, technical practices. We can teach something around managing a backlog, or managing ideation processes in an effective way. We can even teach, not sure how much of this is done, but it can definitely be done. We can teach how to evolve an organization, how to make a more agile organization, and that kind of stuff. And the same thing applies for mentoring, for sure. So assuming this is a good catalog as a starting point, I will give you a chance to add things here. So anybody who feels like, well, there is something which is missing here, and it should be in this list, feel free to add it. Also, if you prefer, you can just shout out. I can probably add it there. I'm not really looking at the chat all the time, so but you can still write it on the chat, and eventually someone pick it up and can write it down.
How do we indicate on this one?
Oh, you can just write.
Just add a dot.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, you're supposed to add. So this dot is just additional things you may add. Yeah. So it's not about voting any of these. Is anything missing? When it comes to the things that we do as Agile coaches, that you think, well, it should be in this list. And I do have a couple of things that I I thought about, but I will yeah, I will try to keep them for myself for a few more seconds. Yeah, something around team morale, consulting. Learning and reflecting. Offering empathy and being pragmatic. A representation of organizational commitment and investment. Specialized facilitation, for example, lean inception. Yeah, and by the way, I know I've chosen a tool which is on one side is quite clean and lean, but it isn't that necessarily very advanced in its functionality. So bear with us in terms of some limitations you may face there. For example, font sizes. Probably okay. Don't have a lot there. Meditation. Okay, so again, I'll try on kind of keep some pace while you know we give everyone a chance to contribute, and also this will remain for after the session. And you know, if you think also about something later on, it's always good. But yeah, thanks everyone for adding a few additional items here. The ones that I also thought about and I wanted to suggest. So one is this one. And I think I thought a little bit maybe about some stuff that I do or I try to do. And this one I call it like creative thinking, out of the box solutions. Yeah, which is, I think I've happened and I'm trying to do more of this, try to just help people think about a little bit more innovative ways of approaching things, or maybe some also solutions in terms of things that I've seen somewhere else, or I know someone is doing somewhere else, and maybe the decision makers in a company don't just, yeah, we're not aware, or we're a little bit maybe afraid of trying to do something a bit more modern. And I also added this, which I also know is controversial, but I do believe there is I've done quite a lot of this, called modern program management, call it agile project management. I think it's just a sort of coordination of delivery of software across multiple teams. And yeah, I personally have done quite a lot of that. I wasn't sure about where it fit in the business model, and I actually believe there's a huge opportunity there. So thanks. What's next? Right. So don't want to fill this in with all of those items, but again, in terms of, like, you know, if you want to keep thinking about this in the next few days on everything, that's kind of a model, let's say, that you could use. So one thing I think it's interesting to explore is so for any of those items, how much do we see it's been requested, you know, so they ask us to do that, and also how much do we believe there is a need for that, right? And you can think about this at multiple levels. You know, you can try to abstract and make a general thing in terms of the industry, or you can think very specific about your own company or maybe the teams you work with. All of that is relevant. I think when it comes to try to see where Agile coaching is going as a general phenomenon, probably higher level of abstraction is even more valuable, but it's kind of also not trivial to get that. But my point here being that I think we, at least, again, it's based on my and a few more people experience, so a little bit anecdotal as a thing, but I still believe there's some value in sharing that and just having people think about this. I think for some things we get a lot of requests, so they always keep asking us that stuff. And, you know, we even end up like being, oh, these are the people that are good at that, which is cool. But then there's probably things that, from our perspective, there we know how to offer those things. We know we're good at that, but we don't get, and we can see there is an opportunity there. There's clearly, you know, there's a gap, there's a need, but they don't really ask us so much. So again, we're not gonna try to plot all of the items there, but feel free to plot any more later on, to think about this. So in my case, what I can say is that I and lots of peers get very famous for our abilities as facilitators, and we get a lot of requests. And I believe, yes, there is a need. But for example, we definitely don't get so much requests for professional coaching, but I believe there is a great opportunity there. It's maybe something that we offer because we kind of proactively reach out and suggest it, but it's not something that it's explicitly requested or we get pulled in. Yeah, and another thing I put here, example, teaching Agile fundamentals. Think like, you know, more like the way of working side of things. I don't get, again, each of our contexts will be different, appreciate that, but in my case, I don't get a lot of requests, and also I don't think for the people and the teams I work with, there isn't necessarily a big need of that. And yeah, so this is, I think, it's one more kind of perspective I'm throwing there and putting there on the table. How are things now? And I think this eventually this potential mismatch requests and is something that's interesting to explore, to think about how things are evolving. And then, so I thought, so staying on this requests topic, how we think things may be evolving over the next few years. So are we expecting that we're gonna get as much requests, you know, these kind of services will be pulled as much, or maybe less? Again, you know, we can then decide that personally and as a community we react to this, or we can try to read, you know, try to understand why is that the case, or we can try then to do something to influence things. So, so my sort of cheap predictions around this would be that we still get a lot of requests in terms of facilitation, while, for example, teaching Agile fundamentals, we may see less of that. And we may see maybe more requests of teaching, let's call it Agile and DevOps. Maybe still not a lot, but more than we see now. Maybe also some more, maybe the same, a little bit more mentoring on Agile and DevOps, and hopefully much more pull for professional coaching services. Which then leads to another question that I may or not be looking at, but okay, if this stuff matters, are we the ones that are supposed to offer those services, which is a different question, right? So, I thought about this when it comes to this trying to think about what the future is going to bring, and what are the things that matter when it comes to try and see where things are going for the agile coaching. And of course, everything is connected, so it's a little bit of a simplification on saying this is internal and this is external. But I still wanted to give us a chance to look at things with these lenses. So one side is kind of the outside world, and then on the other side, it's us. You know, it's an industry and a community of agile coaches and friends. So, you know, when it comes to think about how many coaches are going to be out there in a few years, and what are they going to do, and where are they going to sit in organizations, what are the things that are going to influence that outcome? And of course, there's a overall economic situation makes a difference. I also thought about specific laws and taxes, tax regimes. For example, in UK is a clear influencer, a clear driver when it comes to what people decide, where they decide they want to be positioned on that chessboard. Wasn't sure about these. I mean, don't really like agile maturity, but I think on the other side, it makes it clear what I mean is, I think it's fair to assume that the agile maturity organizations will have some influence when it comes to how many agile coaches are needed and what are they going to do. And also as well, the perception of decision makers in companies about agile overall, and also about agile coaches. And what I mean is, you know, do they believe you know, how they understand what agile is, and how do they think, how they're doing on that, how much does it matter, is it a strategic thing or not, and yeah. So that's some of my thinking around that. And then I also thought about this, again, it's a bit of a rough way of writing it, but number of organizations already transformed, right? So if a lot of us have been in the business of transforming organizations, at some point, are we done? I mean, or maybe not, because organizations are happy to go through transformations and the frameworks to help transform all the time. Or maybe not, because it's going to be a little bit more of a wave. So lots of the companies are being transformed. So whatever the outcome of that attempt, and then there's going to be less market, less pool of maybe coaches that are strong at helping organizations transform. So some of the things I thought. And on the other side, so what, when it comes more to us and us as a community, what are the things that you know, influence when it comes to see the shape of agile coaching in the next few years? Well, clearly our positions on that chessboard of the first slide. So one side think external, internal, and the other side think where do we sit when we sit within organizations, or with whom do we work when we work in partnership from outside. So both in terms of the department that we're focused to work with, but also in terms of as long as organizations are hierarchical and sort of pyramids, where, you know, who are we interacting with, you know, and also what's our which are the conversations we are in, and what level of decision making we are working at. Yeah, and also the way we show up and we do our job. It's probably, maybe, I mean, I don't want to say it's the most important thing here, because it's very big relevant things happening, but yeah, this is clearly something that you know, we can you know, we can control, and it is something relevant. So this is quite generic, but I was thinking things around, you know, the way our work is perceived, you know, it is also related to the way we do the work, the amount of knowledge that we share or don't share with the peers. So, you know, how much we are growing these skills beyond our roles in the companies we work with. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I was thinking about this specifically. I attended a couple of meetups last month where some Agile coaches were sort of self-reflecting of how we're doing as a community and a little bit of maybe unhappy about the state of things. Yeah, so I think, I mean, there's clearly an opportunity there in terms of how we show up and do our job every day. I mean, I assume that the number of active Agile coaches is something that, again, is one of the many things that are relevant when it comes to what does the space look like and what are the opportunities out there for each of us. Yeah, I also thought, because I was thinking about this, maybe we're not doing as much training as we used to do a few years ago. Yeah, but then I thought maybe, I don't know, if when a new Agile framework or a new shiny thing comes out, then it creates an opportunity to teach that. It doesn't sound like it's a great thing for me, but yeah, I mean, it is also, it is a thing, and it clearly generates demand for specific bits of our job. So if you any of you has anything that you want to add to any of these two lists, they are here, they're open.
Any question coming from the audience?
Yeah, maybe I have something to add to the internal variables. It might be not that fancy, but what about the money? It's also one of the internal variables, I think. I'm not an Agile coach, I'm a Scrum Master. But when I look at my peers in companies where I work, the Agile coaches, their rates are much higher. And so that inspires me to also maybe become an Agile coach. And yeah, it might sound a bit, how do you say it, greedy for money, but it is what it is. It's also one of the key drivers, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, and you know, both like how much can a Scrum Master make, you know, will inform people decisions about do I want to become a Scrum Master or not. And then, you know, if we happen to see like a Scrum Master and Agile coaches are two different roles in the industry with different salaries, you know, some people will legitimately say, oh, now today I'm a Scrum Master, I want to become an Agile coach. So it is definitely part of the picture. Yeah.
I've got something to add, if that's okay.
Yes. Yeah.
In terms of the internal variables, I think the direction we're going is much less around coaching and teaching frameworks and tools now to actual focusing on how you make behavioral changes. Because obviously the key thing to Agile is collaboration over anything else. And I think that's what companies are actually struggling with more than anything else is mindsets, behavioral change, teamwork, real collaboration, and not really the tools that they use for that.
Lovely. Yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah. So, yeah. And again, you know, I think the way I see it is we may not have a crystal ball, but if we have some intuition or some thinking about, this is going to become more relevant for each of us as well, what's in it for me, I may decide that I'm good at this and, I want to kind of use my skills, to play more in that space, or maybe I'm not so good and, I want to get better at this. Yeah, absolutely.
Similar to Ryan, I think the coaching Scrum Master industry is creating structures very similar to the companies we're supposed to be helping. This idea of hierarchy, Luca's nodding, we're actually mimicking those structures.
Yeah, so thanks. Thanks for that. I think again on this, my comment would be we are seeing, that as part of the current situation, there's been a little bit of that trying to somehow mimic, so our way to solutionize some of that, seniority or whatever problem space has been creating some sort of ladder, again, Scrum Master, lead Scrum Master, Agile Coach, Enterprise Agile Coach, whatever. What we think the future is going to look like, and based on that, what's our course. Yeah. Okay, so thanks for this. So what could Agile coaching look like in 2025? So I do have a few ideas myself, but yeah, before sharing mine, I would like to see yours or hear from you. So invitation is to just grab one of these stickies and write something there, or create a new one, or if you, for some reason, you don't want to write, or you can't write and you want to say something, that's also
I'll just say it. I think the challenge that we are facing right now and maybe in 5 years from now is how to collaborate remotely. Before the crisis, the Corona crisis, the COVID crisis, we were all hoping to work together at the office, co-located. It looks like that will become less and less. So maybe the Agile Coach in 2025 is also focusing on remote collaboration.
right. Yeah. So thanks. So a challenge and opportunity, if I understand it right, to support effective collaboration in a distributed setup.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, and we've seen a few more ideas out there. So someone believes that eventually Agile coaches will be, and Agile coaching will happen across the business, and not just in technology. And someone predicts, let's say, that Agile coaches will be involved in contracts and contract negotiations. Someone else says that there may be more focus on executive stuff. Someone suggests that we will see sort of emergence of or consolidation maybe of liberating structures as a tool, as a technique widely used in facilitation. And also, which emerged before but is coming again, a suggestion that we may see more focus on on the people side of things, and also the mindsets and behaviors. And not just like, yeah, as we said before, not necessarily like maybe just a bit more like process or tools. And someone either expects or hopes for some more clarity around how Agile coaches add value, and also eventually some more coaching on individual basis, some more systems thinking. Yeah, while we see a few more of these suggestions or predictions being added, and before I share a few more of the things I think may eventually be happening, is so when I read these, so some of these, my curiosity, I guess, is around if we believe that we're going to have something in 5 years from now that is not necessarily there now. Why is that? And I mean, is for example, is there something that's stopping it from happening now, or for example, are new conditions emerging that are going to enable that, right? And I mean, I don't have an answer, but that would be I think my curiosity. And one concrete example would be like, we're gonna, work more with the C-level. Which is, sometimes a conversation I have with some friends, and say, okay, I appreciate it, we want to do that, which is amazing. Why you think it's going to happen? Oh, it's very simple, because in a few years the C-level is going to be some of the younger managers that are not there yet today, but they get Agile much more. So once they are there, they will ask us to help. So yeah, I get it, or maybe another answer that I heard is, because we are getting better to speak the language. We weren't as much a few years ago. So all very, yeah, very inspiring. So I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen soon. And yeah, so maybe we're gonna go back to waterfall. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna become new client managers focusing on direct value delivered. And yeah, I think then I got hopefully more recognition by company that every Scrum Master is an Agile coach, and to allow them to support a real organization at change and not just a team focus. Yeah, so it could be something, And again, I think when we look at all of these, the industry, and then specific parts of the industry, and then specific companies and specific parts of specific companies, we may see general trends, or we may see trends happening in some countries, or in some specific industry, or just some companies will be able to do something, and as always there will be a different kind of sort of stages. Yeah, or someone else says, maybe more delivery manager roles, focusing on end-to-end, and it's then the real world is very varied, which is amazing. And so what it means is that we may see a number of these things happening and the same time. So it doesn't mean that because we're going to see some more of something, we're not going to see something else as well. Even if some of these things, if you look at all of these things we've seen here on this slide now, we kind of say, oh, but this is contradicting this or that. So we're gonna see. So thanks for all of this. So I would like to share some more things. Okay, so also seeing something on Agile Coach is becoming portfolio driven end-to-end leaders. Yeah. So feel free to keep adding, and again, so then the Jamboard will remain available for everyone also after the meetup. So in terms of so some of the things that may or not happen, but I think in terms of possibilities, I thought it was worth sharing as my views on the future. So I believe at least in some companies, what may happen is that a career path that has been for a few companies for a few years, technical people becoming at some point Scrum Masters, may eventually change, and I think this is the role of an engineering manager, as a sort of a combination of a line manager and a sort of tech lead. I phrase it not very well, but yeah, engineering managers are usually people with a technical background that they're now line managers in specific teams. So this maybe is going to be more is going to be a more interesting career path for a number of software engineers. And maybe we're going to see less people becoming a Scrum Master than we've seen the recent years. Of course, all of these things I'm saying, I'm very happy to be proven wrong and actually recording this, so it's going to be fun in a few years to watch back and see how wrong I was. But yeah, I felt I still wanted to make some predictions. And then, so we are already seeing, so this is kind of a thing which is out there already, and I expect it may grow. So if you look at companies like, for example, Google, Facebook, Amazon as well, and a few more, I think especially tech giants coming from the US, they tend not to have an Agile Coach role, but they've got roles like technical program managers, they're quite senior roles, and there is an expectation that they understand and master quite a few of the things that we do. And they actually, if you speak to people there, they do get pretty well what we do. And so this may be a thing. So maybe we're going to see more of these kind of skills that we own, skills that we see as part of our core skill set, to be part of job specs and actually beyond job specs, how people background and how they play the role, but maybe some of these people will be having a different job title, for example, technical program managers. Another thing that may happen is, again, on this, I guess on this eventual trend of some of the things that we do are relevant, but so relevant that may become full-time jobs, especially in big organizations. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few roles that purely focus on facilitation, and other roles purely focus on professional coaching emerging. I know there's a little bit of a hype, a little bit of a trend just now on Agile people coaches. I don't know if this is going to last or not. I believe that the opportunity to work more on people topics, HR topics, and playing in the organizational design space, but beyond that, all things people, it's a long-term opportunity. Yeah, not too sure about the Agile people coach. Yeah, but whatever the role, I think the space is there, and yeah, it is part of that keeping growing outside of kind of the place where we started and keep contributing to support, I guess, human-centric and successful organizations. And I also believe, again, this is probably biased a little bit on based on kind of the bubble I'm in, but I believe there's going to be a number of teams, tech and product teams, that will be able to kind of sort their things out in terms of process and also team dynamics and engineering skills without necessarily needing like a full-time Scrum Master or Agile Coach. So I guess this is sort of a combination of not needing and the feeling that they don't need, so there may be less of a pool for that. Which I don't know how this is going to end, but it may be, those people stick around and actually have a chance to do those bigger things that we always talk about, because there is so much we can do organizations. Or maybe the effect is going to be slightly different and just more in terms of head counts and roles. We're going to see less of these. Yeah. So my overall take, take it or leave it, is my current thinking on this is that if we compare things in 5 years' time to how they've been maybe in the last 5 years, overall, the Scrum Master and Agile Coach career. So all today I've been thinking about this is kind of a single thing, Agile Coaches, Agile Delivery Managers, Scrum Masters, may result being slightly less attractive as a career. So we may even see less people kind of joining the crew. While the skill set as we mapped it out a few minutes ago when we were starting with the Agile Coaching Institute framework, is actually going to be even more relevant. It's going to stay very relevant. It's actually going to be even more relevant than it is already. Right. So these were some of my bets. My final invitation, and then I'm going to stick around if we want to keep chatting and anyone's got any questions from me or any comments on the topic overall. I would encourage you to spend a few minutes and think about, based on all you heard and all you thought today and what you heard from others, what's in it for you. And feel free to use this board to contribute your, options, actions, commitments. This is what I'm gonna do next. These are some things that I think I can focus on, or if you just want to write it down on a piece of paper and it's gonna just be there for you, that's good as well. But I think given where the given where the industry and the role may be going, are you thinking about focusing on something specific, changing anything specific, learning something specific? It may or not be the case. You may say, no, well, whatever my current focus, that's spot on, or what? Feel free, of course, to keep writing there on the board or on your own notepad. Yeah, and if I will not read this, so this is kind of a personal reflections. So thanks to everyone who felt like they also wanted to share with all of us. Again, so the board is there and it's gonna stay there. I will stop sharing my screen, but yeah, I'm here. So that was it in terms of kind of presentation and the conversation based on the reflections that I had and I wanted to share. But yeah, I'd be glad if someone wants to comment anything more, or if there's any more questions anybody wants to ask.
This is Aaron. Hi. I'm seeing a shift in other parts of the organization that are starting to leverage Agile or principles or just, you know, new thinking, however we want to define it. I've been working with our sales organization. I mean, like real sales, like salespeople and their sales life cycles and their methodologies of training and enablement, et cetera. Which, if you sort of peel it all back, you start to see there's a lot of overlap with understanding mindset, understanding customer, you know, and sort of the old world of project management, waterfall top down. The old world of sales was sort of its version of that, which was just like brute force selling. And they both have basically similar outcomes. You know, people get things they don't really want, and they're sort of stuck with, I created this term called sales debt, just same principle of technical debt, just sales debt, right? You buy, you know, we all have it around us. Just look around your whole house. You have a bunch of crap that you never wanted, and if you could somehow find a way to pay someone to take it all away and put your time into doing it, you would actually get rid of it. Companies have the same thing with products and services. And so trying to align salespeople, their incentive compensation, the go-to-market with the client need and the capabilities that you have is very similar. It's not quite Kanban. It's not, you know, so you have to play with this a little bit. But I found that one to be very interesting. And I think there's a huge, I mean, not huge, it's just, it's like an unlimited, you know, like an infinity opportunity there for everybody, you know, to get into it. As one example, I think there's traditional back office, finance, HR, et cetera. A lot of them went down lean paths in the 2000s, especially finance, and, you know, to get a close faster from 50 days, never, to closing within a week or two, or even less than a week. So there is an appetite, I think, already there. And I think finance is learning that they're going to have to become as responsive to the business. So it's basically line of business finance. You know, because if you can start to automate the corporate back end, I mean, what do you need this, you know, 1% of your company, which is literally what it is. 1% of your company is in finance, in every company. And if you're smaller, it's even more. And so you know, so I'm finding this stuff is all out there, out of IT and out of traditional manufacturing production management. I'm finding a lot of Agile people are resistant to going into these areas because they're very Cynefin, chaos. If you think IT people fight you, you know, talk to salespeople for an hour if you can even get them. You know, so, but anyway, so that's sort of my take, is that the rest of the institution, and if it's a mission-driven business, it's no different, right? Grant writers, fundraisers, I mean, it's the same principle, right? It's people operating in a reactive, unplanned backlog kind of mentality, and trying to get them to open up to this, get small, get incremental, you know, et cetera. So sorry, I talked a long time there, but.
No, that's absolutely fine. Thanks for sharing. Around, I think my one comment here would be that, as I said earlier on, so today for me was very much about also individual thinking and opportunities, you know. So I don't know where we're going as a community, you know. We may not just, you know, seen a lot of these, or maybe we're going to see some, but it's clearly opportunities for individuals that are passionate about this. And I can say that I do know quite a few people that started to do a lot of work outside of tech and got very, very happy with that, you know, because it is different. Yeah, you got different challenges, but, you know, it's also much fresher, you know. So there's a chance, you know, to go back and teach and explain and evangelize and all of that. And actually, yeah, a lot of people are then very, you know, very glad, you know, of the things you're sharing and the value you're adding. So yeah, I know it's very rewarding for lots of people. So it's great to hear your story as well. Thanks.
I mean, the big thing I've noticed is, more than anything, is that IT people are almost like, you know, my friend put it this way years ago. Oh shoot. You know, it's like we almost run, religious universities, right? Like we can just mention the hundreds, thousands, millions of tools, methodologies. So you can just start a war in 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 second, just by mentioning something. When you get to the rest of the business, people just don't care. I mean, if they got to stand on their head and it'll help them do the job and have happier employees or happier customers or better products, I mean, they'll just do it. There's just not that investment with the I'm right religion of the hour, tool of the minute, whatever culture. You'll find a few, but it's very rare. And I think especially during COVID, people want, if anything, they're hungry for something, some anchoring, some methodology, something that can anchor them to helping them get their work done more effectively. So anyways, that's the other piece I've experienced.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think there's a lot of interest in estimating the value of different ways of working there, right? So if we know that a specific way of working, which has a more agile flavor to it, saves the money, saves the company so much money, then there will be interest, right? So I think a lot of the education and the experimentation would be probably to try to put a dollar sign behind it, which is, I mean, obviously hard, but product does it since a long time, right? They estimate that feature would bring so much money. And then, you know, who does really count that off and compare it 2 years after to the estimation, right? So there are quite clever estimation numbers in product, and I think in other areas we could kind of follow up a little bit better or question how product areas come up with their numbers and validate them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think as coaches in general, agile has become a dirty word in businesses. You know, so if you mention to any kind of leadership, you know, the word agile, they instantly just switch off because they've heard everything before. You know, we need to change our language. We need to be more value focused. We need to actually give them, in business speak, we need to learn how they speak and give them that value rather than, you know, across the business. I mean, at the moment, I'm really focusing on trying to link up how we can make improvements across all teams across the business and where those wastes are and how we can work on collaboration. And I try not to mention the word agile as little as possible when I'm talking to those people, because there's a preconception. It's been a sales term for too long, and that's it now. So as soon as you say, oh, this is an agile coach, they look at you and go, oh yeah, here you go. Well, you know, what's going to happen here? You know, so it's turning it back on its head and just speaking their language.
Yeah, thanks, Melinda. Yeah, I think this is, we just briefly touch on that, you know, the kind of the perception, you know, how you know, what's kind of our reputation, let's put it like that. Yeah, but I do know a number of people that maybe especially, you know, like senior sort of consultants, you know, trying to work in with decision makers, and they clearly make this call about, we don't even mention the word agile because people are biased. So it's kind of, you know, it's uphill battle, and you just try to shift your focus, which I think, I mean, it's maybe not for today, but yeah, it would be interesting to see how we ended up here, right? So this is not just on us, the kind of responsibility where we are, but of course, you know, somehow willingly or unwillingly, we did play a part. So I think for me, when it comes to think about the future is, yes, how do we see it playing out? So how we do kind of just react to that, but also, you know, is this things that we want to do either individually, which could be very simple as I don't use the A word because it's not helping me, or more as, you know, as smaller groups of people, bigger groups of people, you know, agile coaches working in the same maybe town or country to try and influence those outcomes that we want to be, you know.
I mean, the big thing I've just used is just go back to old school business outcomes language.
Yeah.
That's it. That's literally all I use. And then it's like, they don't care. I mean, do you, if you go to a restaurant, unless it's a very, I mean, no one goes anywhere now, but let's pretend it's normal. And you have to throw some fantasy in somewhere in our lives, right? You know, do you really care the different techniques that chef was trained in? If she, you know, started in, you know, Parisian French and then moved to countryside and then moved to, you know, it's like, no, it's you want to know based on what's in the menu, you know, and what your expectation is of that, or what you've heard of it, or the new experience of what it's going to be. I mean, that's your outcome you want, right? You don't care about how the, you know, eggplant or sausage is made, depending on if you're, if you eat meat or not. But, you know, so, but I mean, and I think that's the thing we have to shift to, is just get out of our own, I mean, we can use the language ourselves, but when we're in the civilian population, you know, we reference what they understand and what they care about.
Amazing. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments that you'd like to share?
I'd like to thank Carlo for giving a good interactive session here. Really, really much appreciated. It's good to see so many other familiar faces too.
Thank you. You're welcome, Sven.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you very much. Okay, if that's everything, I'll just stop the recording.
Yeah, just a last piece of information, because in the meantime, I've been contacted by